Reports on political affairs. In the areas in which Pakistan and the US can engage in mutually beneficial cooperation are Afghanistan peace process, prevention of nuclear proliferation, promotion of peace and stability in South Asia, the Persian Gulf and Indian Ocean regions, climate change, promotion of human rights, and strengthening of bilateral cooperation in economic, commercial, technical, and cultural fields. According to National Action Plan of 2019-20, the per capita availability of water in the country has decreased over the last 7 decades to an alarming level of 935 cubic meters from 5,260 cubic meters. If the government fails to formulate an effective conservation strategy now, the per capita availability would decrease to 860 cubic meters by 2025 and even down to 500 cubic meters by 2040. Cross-border incidents attributed to forces in Pakistan caused less than 2% of civilian casualties in Afghanistan from January 1 to December 31, 2020, says the latest UN report on the war-ravaged country. The Taliban rebels were responsible for 45% of these civilian casualties, while pro-government forces caused 25% of these casualties. The government has chosen 84 out of total 201 state-owned enterprises for privatization, liquidation, or retention in public sector to meet a structural benchmark of the IMF as it moves towards revival of the suspended 6 billion loan program. The National Electricity Power Regulatory Authority (NEPRA) intends to enhance the renewable energy footprint to 30% over the next 10 years from the current 3% of Pakistan's overall generation capacity of over 35,000 megawatt. Some of the most climate vulnerable countries are also ranked as some of the most corrupt. German Watch has ranked Pakistan 8th on its risk index, and Transparency International has placed this country as high as 124th on the corruption index. This annual report shows that corruption and climate change are inextricably linked. At the UN-hosted Climate Ambition Summit, Prime Minister Imran Khan declared that Pakistan will generate 60% of its energy from renewable sources, ensure that 30% of new vehicles will be electric vehicles, that Pakistan will no longer pursue coal power plants. These broad pronouncements can guide the country's roadmap for decarbonization. According to reports, Pakistan plans that 30% of all new cars, trucks, buses, vans, and jeeps, and 50% of all 2, 3, and 4 wheelers will be electric vehicles by 2030, and by 2040, 90% of the vehicles on the road are envisioned as electric. FATF has assessed Pakistan to have completed 26 of the 27 action items under the current action plan. In the remaining one, partially addressed items, significant progress has been made by Pakistan, which is duly acknowledged by wider FATF membership. The World Bank has announced that it is providing over $4 billion for the purchase of COVID vaccines to 51 countries, including Pakistan. The federal government has announced a multi-billion package for the agriculture sector to boost a neglected part of our economy. The plan includes rupees 110 billion direct investment and 80% increase in agro credit to bring it to rupees 2.7 trillion over the next 3 years. The Foreign Office said that some 5,000 terrorists belonging to Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan were posing a threat to the country's security and stability from their sanctuaries in Afghanistan. Pakistan has reaffirmed its pledge to fully implement 27 international conventions as part of its commitment to the European Union's Preferential Trade Agreement and the Generalized Scheme of Preferences Plus, GSP+. The World Bank has approved $442 million to help improve access to water, sanitation, and sanitation services for most vulnerable communities in rural Punjab. Pakistan signed an agreement with Pfizer Pakistan under which it would receive 13 million doses of the American vaccine. Despite the rejection of its plea on corruption charges, Pakistan has various options to deal with the Reko case, wherein the country is facing a massive penalty of $6 billion. Over 76% Pakistani children in Pakistan receive full course of vaccination under EPI survey. Pakistan has signed terms of accord for gas pipeline with Russia. Pakistan has severely criticized the draft agreement of the World Trade Organization is hopeful to finalize to stop overfishing. Around 69% of employees say corruption is widespread within businesses located in their country, according to the survey by Gallup. Pakistan has decided to terminate 23 bilateral investment treaties with different countries in order to avoid international arbitration with foreign firms on commercial contracts. The government aims at creating nearly 400,000 new jobs in the increase in the production of cars, motorcycles, and expansion of the automobile industry in 1 year. The benchmark index of Pakistan Stock Exchange has gone to an annualized rate of about 14%. Local mobile phone production exceeds Pakistan's imports. Pakistan has become self-sufficient in mung bean production as the first estimate of the crop records the legume output mung bean production. By 2030, generation capacity of 57,000 megawatt will be needed by Pakistan to satisfy its power needs. Currently, Pakistan is producing 34,000 megawatts. Government debt goes up by 11% to rupees 39.7 trillion. Pakistan and Germany signed an agreement for suspension of debt service of rupees 26 million euro under debt service suspension initiative. Climate change. Pakistan's water storage capacity is just about 10% as compared to world average of some 40%. The Dasu hydropower project includes the construction of 4,320 megawatt hydropower plant on the Indus River near Dasu town in Kohistan district of Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. The World Bank and Asian Development Bank have jointly prepared a climate risk profile for Pakistan, which projects an increase in the number of people affected by flooding, with a likely increase of around 5 million people exposed to extreme river floods by 2030 to 44. Indicative Generation Capacity Expansion Plan IGCEP Pakistan provides for new power generation projects to be undertaken in accordance with the demand supply fundamentals through the open and competitive auctions of contracts. Pakistan has declined to commit to non-zero emission targets by arguing that the energy transition alone would require $101 billion by 2030 and an addition of $65 billion by 2040 on account of completing in progress of RE projects.